Good morning, my Teaserking family. How's everybody? Hope everybody had a good Christmas. Well, we had 2 for 2 in our picks yesterday. We had the over in the Miami Green Bay game, which just barely got there. And then we had Tampa Bay, which just barely got there. I don't know what Tampa Bay, their coach sucks. I was going through the box score. And if you go into it, it shows you drives. And I'm looking at the drives, and 90% of their drives start with Fournette up the middle, 2 yards. Fournette off right tackle, 3 yards, and Brady incomplete passes. Just stupidity. I mean, you got Brady. Why would you not just throw on first down or do other passes or play action pass on your, third and ones, fourth and ones? But anyway, Tampa, we got lucky with against Trace McSorley. They had to go to overtime with Trace McSorley. We know they're not a good team. We know they're terribly coached, but we'll take the win. And again, we bet it because of Trace McSorley, not Tampa Bay. It's hard for a third string quarterback to just walk in. Got to get his timing down. What do we say on a bye? The guy doesn't have his timing down and all that. So anyway, so we got those two winners. Let's go through the week. So Jacksonville wins 19-3. The Jets pull the quarterback. No offense. Somebody likes Trevor Lawrence. I watched game film of that. All I see is a bunch of little 2-yard drop-offs. I don't see him going over the middle, hitting 20-yarders like Mahomes or Joe Burrow or anything. That's the difference. Joe Burrow, Mahomes throw the ball 15, 20 yards into the seams. Even Josh Allen's starting to do that. But not Lawrence, not Tagliavua. So Jacksonville wins 19-3. Now I have the Jets in 7.5, so I lose it. But at the end, I warn you that the Jets are now 1.5-point favorites, so kind of lean away from them. I do like the game under, but I don't play it just because of the Jets defense. I tend to like it's like Iowa, right? You just bet it under because the defense is so strong, which works most of the time, not in the Washington game. Houston, Tennessee. Houston gets the win, 19-14. I'm not surprised. Malik Willis, quarterback against Mills. And, Tennessee just can't score. And Houston, I don't know where they get the 20 points from, but Mills got them some points. And with the running, and who knows, terrible quarterback, but he can hit some passes. He's getting better, apparently. I mean, he's from terrible to I really stink. So it was 3.5. Houston wins 19-14. It stays under 33. Over under was 37 down to 35. But that made sense. You're not betting Tennessee without their quarterback. Minnesota, the Giants. We take the Giants and the points, and the Giants cover. They lose on a long field goal, but that's Minnesota. Minnesota, San Diego is the same team. They play the games close, and, they're winning the close games at the end, but they don't really blow you out. Struggled with the Lions. Huge comeback against Indy. Why were they down? What happened in the first half? So the Giants, strong dog, played well against Washington, but Minnesota, they got the weapon. I mean, with Jefferson, you've got all you want, him and Cook. It's just getting Cousins out of the way. And then, so whatever they need, they score at the end, but they're not capable of blowing you out. They don't have the defense for that. New Orleans, Cleveland, we hit New Orleans in 9. The over-under of 32 was a little bit low, but they only scored 27. It was at 17-10 with the wind. Why is Cleveland favored with Deshaun Watson? New Orleans, Kamara had a big day. And they got Dalton, and okay, Olave was out, but they had Kamara, and he carried the ball, 25 times. That's exactly what you got, an Army-Navy game here, 17-10, New Orleans. Buffalo, Chicago. That was my first lock of the day. I had the over in the game, over only 40. So for us, it was 34. I loved it because the Bears have no defense, but Fields gets you points because he's scoring for some reason. And that's about what happened. The Bears got 10 in the first half, and I said, okay, all I need's 25 from Buffalo. And I really got it late in the game. I thought it was 35-13. I got it with like 6 minutes left. I got 28-13, I think, which put it to 41. Well, I think I had it earlier. 21-13 was 34. Yeah, so I needed one more. So I got 28. And then with a minute left, when you need it, you never get it. We got it. So it went 35-13. So it went to 48. But we only needed 34. I bet it because it was such a low number. And I didn't mind the cold in this because it was Buffalo and Chicago. It's too cold. But you think the cold is going to bother Buffalo? He threw the ball fine. As I said, it's the wind, not the cold. And they go 35-13. Easy over. That made sense. Now the next game, easy over didn't make sense. KC, Seattle, two teams with terrible defenses, both pretty explosive. We know Lockett's out, but we got Metcalf and we got Walker and Jones is playing. So we feel pretty good. Or Geno Smith, he's playing. So we feel pretty good. Can't lay 10. It's too big of a number. Can we take 16? Maybe. We probably should have, obviously. We go over. It was 48 at the time, so 42. It's 24-20. I get to 24, but Seattle doesn't show up, doesn't score. Yet they were down there a lot. Terrible play calling, and they just turned the ball over a lot. Again, let's go for fourth down like we'll make it. And they just didn't score, but they should have. So, okay, we don't get the over. That happens. It should have been. Was the cold weather an issue? I don't think so. I mean, it was 17-3 at half. So KC certainly got down there. It's just the second half. Nobody scored for some reason. So 24-10. Seattle backs against the wall, needed the game, and didn't show up. So, okay, we lose the over. Not a lock, just an over. Cincinnati, New England. We love Cincinnati. -3. We get +3. They're up 22-0. And then a pick six, and that's what starts it. It's all momentum. See, football's all momentum. That's why you don't go for these fourth downs, because you give up the momentum. That's what you play for, the momentum. When you get it, you don't want to give it up on a 4th and 2 and run it up the middle and be surprised you didn't get it with such stupid play calling. So they didn't do that, but he throws a pick six. New England starts moving. Cincinnati, I don't know what happened to them in the second half. Can't score. We get a fumble real late, and then Cincinnati, takes the knees and wins 22-18. Strong defense from Cincinnati, which is what I expected. 22-0. The game was over. I don't know where they got the 18 from. Again, the pick six was part of it. But again, we get the W with Cincinnati plus the 3. Again, people going, oh, you can't go over. You can't go over 0. Nah. What a bunch of crap. Yeah, it really bothered me in this game. So I got, instead of -3, I get +3. One of my tickets, I got +4, I think. Some of these guys who do the 10-teamers with me, they find really good odds, or they make it 7-point teasers. I don't know what they do, but I had 4 on one of the Cincinnati's. Anyway, so 22-18, they win the game, and another winner. Pretty easy. Cincy, the best team in the league, I think, right now. I think they beat Philly. We're going to see them against Buffalo Monday night. Detroit, Carolina, a double call. I call Carolina, and I call the over. Both of them win easy. All of a sudden, see, here's where psychology looks in. Detroit's going to be a road favorite. Really? And I bet I took the Jets, and here I took Carolina, and I'll take anybody when they're the road favorite. They can't be a road favorite. And here Carolina just ran it down their throat. They obviously picked up something Detroit does, because they're good at rushing the passer, but not against the run. And with Deontay Foreman and Chubba Hubbard from Oak State, they ran it down their throats like it was a high school game. 37-23, so we get 60, which is more than enough to go over 43 down to 37. So we hit the over. We hit the Carolina getting 8.5, which, at halftime it was 24-7. I had 31. I needed one more touchdown to get over 47, and I'd already won the Carolina side. So there was a touchdown early and no sweat. Third quarter, I was over. Beautiful game. See, that's the real Detroit. And this is what I warn you about. Oh, they look good. They look good. They're on a roll. It's bullshit. It's all independent. It's like dice. Even though dice streak, it is the hey, Todd. Buffalo is 1-point favorite at Cincy. He's the dog. Yeah, absolutely. Cincinnati's the best team, and they're at home. Hard to figure Buffalo. I got Cincinnati as a 3-point favorite. I don't really understand why Buffalo is favored in the game. Cincinnati beat KC, and they'll beat Buffalo. So absolutely. But we'll get there. So Carolina, so Detroit, Carolina figured out how to run it down their throats. They kind of seal the end and kick out the end. One guy kicks out, and they had holes you could drive a car through all game, anytime they wanted, and it was a nice massacre. And now maybe people don't think Detroit's all that good, which they're not. Again, it depends who you play. So you look good against certain teams. That's the matchup. Okay, they beat Minnie at home. Okay, it's a matchup. That they beat them the way they did, but that many, watch Green Bay's going to beat Minnesota. So you just can't say, geez, they're hot. Therefore, since they're hot, I'm just going to keep betting them blindly, even as a road favorite. And that's where I draw the line. You've got to be very careful in this NFL to play any road favorites. I'm careful to play any favorites. But especially road favorites, it's extremely difficult to play road favorites. Even Kansas City, even Dallas. Look at Dallas, went to Jacksonville. Kansas City went to Houston. They didn't cover. Dallas didn't even win the game. So they lose to Jacksonville, and then here they are, okay, they beat Philly at home. But how do they lose to Jacksonville? Because they're a road favorite. You've got to be extremely careful with road favorites because no team's good enough. You need a really strong defense and a strong running game to be a road favorite, maybe the Niners. So anyway, lesson learned, you don't play Detroit as a road favorite. We had Carolina, and we won, and the over. Atlanta, Baltimore, basically, Huntley, he's okay, but again, 17-9 in the cold. I liked Atlanta getting the points because Baltimore is not going to blow anybody out. They win by 8. I had 12. Easy winner. I liked the game under, but it was so low. At 37, I liked it. It dropped to 34. So now it's under 40, but 17-9. It stays under. Part of it's the cold weather, but I don't know if the weather really bothered anybody. It didn't bother Buffalo. I don't think it really bothered KC Seattle. Maybe Seattle more, but not KC. It didn't bother Cincinnati. It didn't bother. I don't know how cold it was in Carolina. Maybe it bothered Atlanta a little bit, but I don't think so. So we got Atlanta as a dog. Now we get to Frisco, Washington. We give you the free pick of play the game under. I had it locked to play the game under with Miami and with Buffalo over, with Miami over and Buffalo over. What happens? It's 7-7 at the half. Okay, I'm feeling really good. Goal line stand already. What happens? Let's go for 4th down and 1 at our own 29, which is what Washington did. Frisco, of course, stops them, and that was the game. They basically scored and scored and scored, and they got the momentum, and then Washington fell apart. Hey, Greg and John. I'm fine, thank you. How are you? Hope you had a good Christmas. We'll talk next week, and then the bowls are more impacted this week. So we've got what should have been an under got turned to an over because Washington goes for it on 4th and 1 at their own 29. And the score is only, I think, 14-7 at the time. They go for it. It might have been 21-7. I don't remember if it was 14-7 or 21-7, but they go for 4th and 1 at their own 29. All right, you're not getting it on wherever you're at. You couldn't get it at the goal line. You had 4th and 1 at the 1, kick your field goal. No, we're going to go for it and not get it. But at your own 29, when you couldn't score at the goal line, and then you run the stupidest, let's run it up the middle play, which how is that going to – they're playing the run. The only play you can use is play action pass. They don't do that. I think they try to fake punt later. I mean, Washington's just a stupid team. Hey, Bobby, not much. Just going over the pros yesterday's, well, Saturday's, Sunday's games. And we'll talk some bowl games that next week's. So what should have been a low-scoring game turns into a high-scoring game. But when you look at it, how do you explain Washington getting 20 on Frisco? And then you even make matters worse. You got Wentz comes out. I don't know if Heineke got hurt or they got tired of him throwing interceptions, but Washington panics, gets off their play, and gives the Niners 3 or 4 easy touchdowns, which, of course, fucked the under in the game. See, when you look at it, Washington with the strong defense, Frisco with the strong defense, you're expecting this to be low scoring, just like the Baltimore game and just like the Cleveland game. The Tennessee game, I mean, you don't have much offense. You got good defenses. Washington really doesn't score a lot. Frisco does, but you're expecting Washington's defense to keep them in check. What you're not counting on are 4 or 5 interceptions that were thrown by Washington, and let's go for it on 4th twice, and they didn't make it either time. That happens. There's nothing you can do. We read the game properly. Turnovers will kill you depending on where. It'll turn the over into under into over. So we lost that game. That was a lock and the free play. Philly and Dallas, we hit Philly. We got Philly in 10 or 10.5. Loved it. I didn't think anything wrong with Minshew. He puts up 34 in Dallas. I don't see a problem. He could be the starter just as easy as Hurts. Hurts can run, big fucking deal. I don't care about that because obviously Minshew had no problem. I'm a little surprised Dallas got the 40 at the end to win 40-34. They were down like 34-24 or something like that, or 27-17. So Dallas came back. Prescott only with I think how many 2-3 interceptions did he have? I know he had a pick 6. It was funny. I'm watching the Washington game, and it says 3-0 Philly, and then it says Dallas with the ball at like midfield, and then it goes 10-0. I'm like, he threw a pick 6, and he did. He threw it. The lineman picked it, threw it right to the lineman. I go, there goes Prescott. See, with Prescott, you can't bet the game's under because he's going to give the defense points, right? The other team, he's going to give up points as well as get it, and he can score. So here's a 74 in Philadelphia's game, 74. That's not I did like the over, but I didn't play it because of Philly's defense, but I did play Philly in 10.5. I wasn't afraid of Minshew, or I wasn't afraid of not having Hurts, and Philly goes and covers. So that was another winner. Pitt and Oakland. I have Oakland plus the 7.5, 8, figuring they'll score with Carr. The game stays low. They go up 10-0, and then that's all they do. And then 13-10, Pitt scores with 30 seconds left. It was a nice, easy win for Oakland, getting the points. Green Bay, Miami, I have that over. It's the third lock. So Buffalo overs one lock, Frisco unders second lock, third lock, Green Bay, Miami over. I'm expecting fireworks. I don't get fireworks. But I get enough. 48 was 42 over, and it's tied at 20. And I know I win because I'm going to kick a field goal to go 23-20 because somebody's got to score. Well, it could end 20 if it goes to overtime and nobody scores. But my man Tag, I'm telling you, he's a choke. All the big games he loses. He lost to Buffalo, but he played well. Here he played like shit. 4 interceptions. I think the last 3 drives was 3 interceptions, and they were bad interceptions. He threw it right to the Packer guys. And Green Bay, lo and behold, wins 26-20. Now let's talk about a hot team. Okay. With Aaron Rodgers, okay. Don't love their coach. Their defense played all right to keep Miami to 20. But here you go, 26-20, and now they got the Vikings, and then they end with the Lions. And with Washington losing and the Giants losing, I think they're right there. We'll have to check the standings in a minute. It's tough because of these games yesterday. I'm trying to update my stats and check the standings, and I can't do it because I still got the Green Bay game. I got the Tampa Bay game. So anyway, so I bet it over because the trend was Miami 21-2 at home and play against Green Bay. However, it didn't work. Green Bay wins 26-20. So if you bet Miami, you lost. That's why I tend to use the over-unders as opposed, because I can't trust Tagliabue in a big game to win. So I can't trust him, and I don't want to bet against Aaron Rodgers. Maybe I could have played Green Bay, but they're not a strong road dog, so it let it away. The trend talked me out of Green Bay in 9, but when I looked at it, Miami's got an over team. They score a lot, give up a lot. I know Rodgers is going to eat them up. It really should have been more, but they kicked field goals at the end. So it was 20-20. Where was Miami scoring? I'm surprised they didn't get more. You're telling me Green Bay's defense is better than Buffalo's, where they got 29 on Buffalo. So again, Tagliabue disappears, 4 interceptions, big game. He chokes. That's why I tell you I don't like him. I don't like Lawrence. These guys in the big games don't show up. That's the difference between Joe Burrow and Joe Montana and Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers and Tagliabue and Hurts and Prescott even. I don't like them because I can't bet on them because in the big game, they choke and don't show up. That's why. Professor, amazing job. So thank you, Greg and John. Yeah, I mean, it was pretty, except for the damn Washington game. I really lit it up. Denver, LA, fuck. All of a sudden, LA looks like a super team. 51-14. You couldn't see that coming. They were a hope dog. Look at the over-under, 36. And I thought, I circled under. I didn't play the game. I said, well, it'd probably be low scoring with Denver. They don't score a lot. Where does LA find 51 points? Jesus Christ, you've got to be kidding. So that's a team now next week. So what does it say? It says, wait a minute, the Rams are scoring. Well, who do they got next week? San Diego. They're getting 8 and the over-under of 40. I mean, I could lock the over in the Ram game because they're gonna torch San Diego because with Mayfield, they found the offense. So therefore, Vegas sits there with 40. How do you make that a 40? That should be a 50 with San Diego. So if it's still 40, I'm betting heavy on the over. I'll tell you that. Based on what I'm seeing with the change of Mayfield and him getting it makes them, now they're a little different. It's sort of like when Van Dyke and Rising came in. It sort of made in Miami of Florida different teams, which is fine. And that with the different teams, now you start betting them, but Vegas hasn't caught on. So they're still looking at the Rams. Yeah, they don't score. They're an under team. But they just showed you they do score because they probably weren't even scoring 20 points a game. So what do they do with San Diego? They make it a 40. Well, Yeah, but look at the last few games. They're scoring, and they scored on Denver, a really top defense. So it's not like they don't. So again, I'm going to keep an eye on LA, San Diego. We'll go through the line in a minute. Tampa Bay, Arizona. Tampa Bay -8, -7.5. I take Tampa. Now, what I do when I get stymied, when I lose, I had a Washington, Miami over lock. So Washington loses. So what do? I go, and they lost Saturday. So I come back with Miami with Tampa Bay. So keep in mind, I'm going to do that if I like a teaser, it means I like both teams. And if one team gets knocked out, I then bet the second team, which I did. So then I took Miami over with Tampa, and I won that one. Is Tampa. Now, Tampa needed the game, but their backs weren't against the wall because they're still in first place. But I bet it because of they looked okay against Cincy for the first half. And then they got this, they're Trace McSorley. Yes, I liked him at Penn State. I liked him at Baltimore. I don't know why Baltimore got rid of him for Huntley. I thought that was really stupid. He did good in the playoff game. He started lighting it up. So you get to Tampa here, and it's I'm going, well, he doesn't know the offense and what you're going to do. He's just there. Tampa should win. They started to look better. So I get Tampa -2, -1.5. And I'm looking at, I'm not watching the game because it's just a waste of time. So I'm looking at, I think I'm watching a movie, but I go check the phone, right? And I go, oh, let's see. Tampa should be 17-0. It's 6-3 or 6-6. Then they're losing by 10. I go, well, I lost this game. And then they come back and tie it. Then they go to overtime. And I don't even watch it. I just go to YouTube at the end, and they have the highlights. So I just went to I knew it was overtime. So I just went to like a minute left in the game. And then I watched the highlight, and they drove down and kicked a field goal. And I go, thank God. So at least they won it by 3. So they won it for us, laying 1.5 or 2. Tonight, San Diego, Indy. I like Indy, but I took the game over 45.5, which I seized down to 44.5 and 3.5. So I don't know what happened, but we know we bet against San Diego just like we bet against Minnesota. They're a favorite, but I like the over. It's only 39. San Diego will score, has no defense. Indy, they got Nick Foles going. I don't have any problem with that. I mean, look at, fucking Arizona has their guy. Philly, Minshew, who's as good as Foles, comes in and lights it up. So you can't tell me the backup quarterback isn't going to score. I don't need much. I figured upper 20s for San Diego, so I need 14 from Indy. And with San Diego's defense, of course, Bosa's out. I should get it. San Diego needs to win to clinch. So overall, I lose the Jets. We hit the Giants. We hit Buffalo over. We lose Seattle. We hit Cincy. We hit Carolina over. We hit Atlanta. We lose Washington under. We hit Philly. We hit Oakland. We hit Green Bay over and Tampa Bay. So overall, again, a very, very good week. Apologizing for losing the free play. I always hate when I do that because I could have played Buffalo over as the free play. And I just was like a little bit like with the cold weather, I didn't want to give it out. So I didn't. And of course they win. And then that was 10-6 at half. And the guy missed a field goal and an extra point, and the wind just blew it sideways. But when the Chicago kicker kicked, it went right through. So they opened the side door like nobody knows, like we're all idiots. So let's get to this week. Okay, so we got Dallas. Wow. I had it at 10. It comes out at 6.5. and it goes up to 10 from yesterday. Dallas minus 10, 42.5 down from 44.5. So I guess Tannehill was out yesterday. So now I don't know what to do with this game. It's probably going to be more of an over-under. I can't lay Dallas minus 4. I don't care who's playing. Hey, Bobby. Bobby Bo is correct about Matt Ryan being benched for Nick Foles. Oh, well, that's okay. I didn't hear that. I didn't see it, but if I just took your word for it, it doesn't really matter. Nick Foles is fine. I don't know why they're benching Ryan, but whatever. Atlanta minus 3.5. Thank you, Bobby, for your input. And 40.5 down to 39.5. So again, Atlanta, Arizona, two kind of over teams, but then Arizona's got McSorley going against Atlanta with the kid from Cincinnati, who I gotta remember his name. Tough to play the favorite here. It's probably an under game because both teams have no offense. The Giants 40.5 down from 3.5, down from 42. See, I love these early adjustments that Vegas makes, right? This game was 42. Now it's 40.5. Why? Why did it go? Why did you come out with 42 and now you're 40.5? What changed it? Indy hasn't played. The Giants score. They tend to score in the 20s every game. So this, probably gets over 34. Detroit 5.5 down from 7. So this was a 7 down to 5.5 for no reason. 51.5. That's where it was. Hard to trust the Lions, but I like the over in the game. Miami is 2.5 and 43.5. So again, the over goes from 42 to 43.5. Miami 2.5 over New England. Why is Miami favorite? I like New England just because Miami's a road favorite. If you keep it simple like that, it takes emotion. You leave emotion at the door, and that's what you want. Like I keep betting against Detroit as a road favorite, and we keep winning because it's logic and psychology. It's hard to win as a road favorite, especially in a playoff game. Carolina needed the game for the playoffs also. So Detroit's just going to come in there and blow them out. And when you get a road favorite, you're saying they're going to win by 14, right? Because they're on the road and there's going to be that close touchdown at the end. So they got to be up 14 points to play a road favorite. It ain't going to happen with the Lions. Washington, 2.5, 40.5, down from 41.5 against Washington. I don't know who Washington is. They lost to New Orleans. Are they any good? That's strange. So Cleveland played New Orleans in that division. Why are they playing Washington? What the fuck? Atlanta quarterback. Thank you, Todd. Hey, Prophet. The Sharps like hitting those virgin line early if they see any advantage. Yeah, I know. I'm one of them, but my point is Vegas playing these little games because there's not enough money being bet to move the line on Sunday, right? People are watching the games. It's Christmas Day. You think people are out betting these games and every over-under has been switched? Cleveland, Washington goes from 41 to 40.5. You think that there's that much betting? No, they're Vegas fucking around with it. I find it a little early. I don't have my injuries out. Some of these injuries don't come out really till Wednesday, Thursday. And am I getting an advantage? What did I get the advantage of? Washington 2.5. Where's my advantage? I don't see it. I don't even know who I'm taking in the game. There's no clear cut. Philly 6.5, 43.5, up from 6 and down from 44.5 to 43.5. Why? New Orleans, they had played Saturday, so did Philly. So why are you adjusting this on Sunday to Monday? Why are you down a point? I honestly like Philly in the game. Now that they lost, now they need the 1 seed, and Dallas can still win the division. And here's Minnesota, and the Niners are starting to creep up. So Philly needs the game at home against New Orleans. Do you have a problem with Gardner Minshew, who looked very good against Dallas, who will look very good here? I have no problem. If Hurts doesn't return, Minshew can win you the Super Bowl. He's that good. I don't have any problem with the line. I got the line 10. It's 6.5. I got Philly minus a half. That's pretty strong for me. KC 13.5. Now that's what my line was. KC was minus 14. Starts at minus 10. Now goes to 13.5. What the fuck's that about? Over under 43.5. So the Sharps moved it 3.5 points? No. Because no Sharps. Okay, I'm a Sharp. I'm not taking Kansas City minus 10 against Denver, and I'm not betting that much on it on a Sunday without knowing injuries to move it to 13.5. I don't know whether that's a bullshit line that they moved on their own without the Sharps betting it. I understand the Sharp. I can see the Sharp betting the Philadelphia game in a teaser down to a half, but that line didn't move. Here they go to 43.5 from 44.5. So every line's dropping a point. The Sharps are all betting the over-unders. That's bullshit. 43.5, KC 43.5. I don't know. You can't bet this over-under. Denver, pretty good defense, no offense. KC, strong offense. So I don't know where you go with the game. Kansas City 13.5. You can't lay 13.5 in the pros. We know that. Weather is a big factor at this time of the year as well, of course. The Sharps usually move the line at first, and then the public will jump in. I thought that Sharps came in at the end on the, just before kickoff and made their bets. I don't know. I mean, as a Sharp, I bet when I see the right line. I might bet today, but in the pros, it's different. College, I bet it early because of these over-unders jumping. And then I get fucked if, all of a sudden there's an injury to one of my quarterbacks, like Bo Nix gets hurt in the Utah game. And then he plays, but he plays on a bad ankle. So that kind of hurts you. But that's what, you just don't know. But that's how I bet's the over-under. The others, you really got to wait for the injuries. There's a little checklist. Let's look at the game, make your own line, then look at their line. And you're usually not worried about the line moving. It's usually the totals that jump 5 points. And it's just the game Vegas plays. There's not that much betting going on to move the over-unders 5 points. And then they stop, right? So they go from 60 to 65, and then they don't move from 65 on. So I hear what you're saying, but I don't believe it anymore. The Sharp looks for the line. Like me, I look for the line, and that's what I bet it at. But I got to know my injuries and my weather and everything first. I would never bet a game on. I could have bet Sunday. I suppose I could have taken Dallas minus 6.5, but I didn't think it would jump till 10. But I don't know the injuries and everything else, so I'm not, jumping on Dallas. I don't like Dallas that much on the road anyway. No, the Sharps look at the opening lines for any advantage in their minds. Yeah, I get it. It takes far less money to move over under. Well, it shouldn't. It should take the same amount of money to move an over under. I don't know why you'd say that because the number moves based on the amount anyway. So this is a rough avocado. I mean, X amount moves the line a half a point. So it doesn't matter if it's over, under, or total, or team. It'll move it whatever it is. So if it's $1 million moves the line, it's $1 million on the over under or $1 million on the point spread. The point of moving the line is to make the betting even. So when they move the total a lot, it's because everybody's betting it over is to get some under action. But they do such a bad job with the initial point spread. I swear there's idiots making the points because they don't know what they're doing. They're not really doing it well. They're usually 3 to 4 times as much money on an NFL side than a total. I don't know. I don't know that data. Depends on the game. Buffalo Chicago should have had a ton on the over, and the over under didn't move at all. The game never moved. It stayed 8.5, 40, never moved. And that was an easy one. Both sides, going over on the game was easy, but I didn't see the over under move. So I don't know. Maybe that's true profit, but I really have no idea. All right. Where are we at? So Kansas City. All right. Tampa, 340.5. Tampa goes from 7 to 3, 40.5. So that was at 41. So why does Tampa go down 4 points? I thought it was a high number, 7. And the way they played Arizona and the way they're coaching, I'm kind of surprised they're even favored. They can't beat anybody. They're horrible. Jacksonville, Houston, Jacksonville 443.5. I put these games in order to this, and now they're all out of order. They change them around for some reason. Jacksonville's now 4 from 6. I was surprised they were 6. And 43.5. That's where they were, 44. I usually just round the totals because then you got to start fucking with the halves and everything. Jacksonville 4. I don't see that. Again, them being favored. I don't buy it. Frisco 5.5. Frisco 5.5, 44.5, up from 42. So go explain that one. Here you got a good under team going from 42 to 44.5. Lane 5.5. They've clinched their division, but they now are looking for the 1 seed, and they're playing really well. So I don't see that stopping against the weak Oakland defense. So I like Frisco there, but again, jumping to 5.5. Seattle 1.5, 43. There, it didn't move, nor should it. The Jets have quarterback problems, a good defense. Seattle, no defense, and probably won't score a lot, especially if Lockett's still out against this Jets defense. Probably another under game for the Jets. Green Bay 346.5, up from 45. I do agree with that line, probably where it should be, 46.5. Green Bay on a roll. Doesn't matter. We're looking at them against Minnesota. I like this over very much. I'm not trusting Green Bay, but I know Minnesota has no defense and a strong offense, and we know Rodgers puts up. Now, I thought he'd put up more than 26 against the weak Miami defense, but it's the same as Minis. So I look for the game in the 20s, 45 to 50, or 46.5 to 40.5. Rams, San Diego is 7, down from 8, and 40.5. Now, that is a joke total, 40.5. After what I witnessed yesterday with the Rams, this is a joke. All right, this should be 50. They fucked up. They looked at the Rams the whole year, not the last 3 or 4 weeks when they got Mayfield and they're starting to score. They're missing the point, and we're going to take advantage of that low line. Baltimore, Pitt. Baltimore 3.5, down from 6. And 36 down. It went down a touchdown. What the fuck is Vegas doing? So you're telling me that the Sharps took it from 42 to 36? There's no fucking way. I like the game under, but I like Pitt and 9.5 with Huntley. I mean, he's terrible. Now, if Lamar Jackson, then I like Pitt even more, but definitely like that. I definitely like the game under, but again, it's gone down 6 points. So it's almost like a freaking monkey's putting the line down on Sunday, and then somebody goes and reviews it and changes all the numbers, because this is as fixed as gold and silver is when you start looking at the lines they have. Dallas -6, and then all of a sudden Monday they're the -10. What a bunch of bullshit this is. This is not the sharps doing this. This is Vegas, their friends making these bets on this. Then we got Buffalo down from 3 to 1.5, 49.5 up from 48. I like Cincinnati as the dog here. I like it over also, but definitely I like that. So that's next week's games. Now we got to look at where the fuck everybody is. So before, as I'm still here, we're going to go through the bowl game lines. So we've got Bowling Green 3.5, 49.5. So the total is going up, which makes no sense that the line stays 3.5. New Mexico State's the better team here. That's what today. Tomorrow we got Georgia Southern and Buffalo. Georgia Southern is now 4.5 up from 3.5, and 67.5 up from 66. I definitely like this game over if everybody's playing. Utah State, Memphis 7.5, 60.5. That line hasn't moved. East Car, Coastal Carolina. East Car 7.5 and 64.5. Now McCall's transfer portal, so I don't know why this line is what this is. Ahers, the quarterback for East Car, is very good, and without McCall, Coastal Carolina's going to get killed here. So I'm very confused why the line's dropping here. It doesn't make any sense. On tonight's Monday Night Football game, there's 552,000 wagered on the sides and 126 wagered on the over-under. So there's more money on the sides than the over-under, but you're just looking at a game. The game, would you have bet? All right, I bet the over. People are betting San Diego probably because San Diego can clinch. So it makes sense to them going, I'm betting San Diego to clinch, so I'm going to bet San Diego versus over-under. I like the over in the game because neither team's got a defense, but I look analytically at the game. I'm not taking San Diego as a road favorite because that's not a good situation for them. They'll be like, Tampa Bay needed to win, and they had to go to overtime with the third-string quarterback. Any thoughts on the bowl game today? I see Bowling Green is playing. Yeah, New Mexico State. That's my free pick. Vegas will usually move a line 5 or 6 points for any major injury. No, that's not true. They didn't move it 5 or 6 for Philadelphia, Dallas. Dallas was a 1-point favorite, and then Hurts is hurt, and it went to 4.5. It went 3.5 points. It depends who the injury is and the team and the backup. There's a lot of variables I would think that would go into this moving it. So not really sure. But Vegas, to me, doesn't know what the hell they're doing. That's pretty obvious. All right. So Coastal Carolina. So Wisconsin, 3.5, 44.5, up from 43.5. Oak State's got a lot of guys out. Spencer Sanders is in the portal transfer, so I guess he's not playing. Their backup sucks. Wisconsin sucks. Their quarterback's transferred also, so you got no quarterbacks playing. Oak State, pretty good defensive team, but you just wonder what are they doing, and then same thing with Wisconsin. So very strange game here. Bunch of people on transfer portal. I'm leaving it alone. Unfortunately, this would have been a great Oklahoma State bet, but if they're not going to play, Just something's going on with the coach that they all are boycotting. Duke 3.5, 62.5 against UCF. This line hasn't moved. Kansas, Arkansas. Arkansas 2.5, down from 4.5. And 68.5. That's where it's been. I like this game over. It's Kansas. They score 40. They give up 40. Jefferson for Arkansas. I don't see him not playing. I really like this game over. This is a good over. Two good explosive teams without defense. North Carolina, Oregon. Now this game's really moving. Oregon 14.5, and the over-under went from 70 to 75.5. Now you got North Carolina, who's a very explosive team with no defense, and Oregon we know is explosive with a decent defense. I like the game over. I've already played it over, but I played it at 70 or 71 or something like that. 75 is getting a bit high to play it, but you got two explosive offenses. Should be a very high-scoring game. Texas Tech, Ole Miss. Ole Miss 3.5, 71.5, up from 69. This should be now. Ole Miss runs the ball. They're not that much passing. Texas Tech we know is explosive. Probably like the over in the game more than anything. Syracuse mini 9.5, up from 7.5. 41.5 over under hasn't moved. I probably like this game under. It's going to be a lot of Army Navy here. Good defense, Syracuse. Good defense, Minnesota. They got the good running back, so he's going to run it. Florida State, Oklahoma 9.5, 65.5 for Florida State, up from 8.5. I don't know what's going on here with Florida State. Oklahoma's sitting out a bunch of players, but I don't think they're sitting out Gabriel, who's the key player, or the receivers. It's some tackles and some defensive guys. Florida State was pretty explosive at the end. This should be a high-scoring game, as Oklahoma has no defense anyway, and a good offense. Florida State's an A team, so they have a good defense. So it's hard to go 65 with a good defense like Florida State. It's a bowl game. Oklahoma should light them up because they'll light up anybody. Texas, Washington. Texas sitting out there, a couple of running backs, a wide receiver. I'm not hearing Washington sitting out Penix. Texas down to 3.5, 66.5 from 68.5. I like Washington here because Texas is sitting out their stud running backs. So it's going to be harder for them to score. It'd probably be a high-scoring game because that's what Washington does. But I like Washington at 9.5 if you're sitting out half your running backs. Maryland, NC State. Maryland 1.5, 46.5. That number hasn't moved. No comment on this game. Pitt, UCLA. I'm very happy to see UCLA minus 5.5 again. Obviously, DTR is playing and Charbonneau is playing, which is perfect. I love UCLA here. Over under 54.5, 53.5. Drop 1 point. Love UCLA here. Slovis, the Pitt quarterbacks, he's transferred. UCLA's going to kill him. I love it. This is a strong motherfucking play. Notre Dame, South Carolina. Notre Dame 2.5, 51.5. Now this reminds me of the Rams. All of a sudden, Rattler, who sucks, got good. He figured it out, and he starts scoring on Tennessee, and he starts scoring on Clemson like 50 points. Here you got Notre Dame. They got some guys sitting out. South Carolina's got this hot quarterback. See, that's how you look at it. If he's starting to go, then you go with him. And I like South Carolina here getting 8.5 because Notre Dame just isn't going to score that much. They're big. They're all American tight ends sitting out. That's what it is. So South Carolina is going to have no problem lighting it up on Notre Dame. I really like South Carolina here. Ohio, Wyoming, who really cares? Ohio's 1.5 and 42.5. Ohio's an over team. Wyoming's more of an under team, with actually like an E defense, 43 defense. So Ohio's being favored. I don't like Wyoming because they don't score a lot. And then you've got probably an over if Ohio scores, but Ohio hasn't been scoring lately. So I'm going to let that game go. Clemson, 5.5, 63.5. Down from 6.5, surprising. Uglia Buglia is gone. So we got the backup who's so much better. Laying 5.5. Tennessee. Hooker's out. The two receivers are out. So they're sitting out a bunch of players, Tennessee. Now that doesn't mean any, how good are their backups? And that wide receiver for Tennessee was like All-American, was out most of the year anyway. So that's not really the issue. Although with Hooker gone, going to be a little bit of an issue. So Clemson without Uglia Buglia and with the backup, I like Clemson here. Only 5.5. Iowa, Kentucky. Iowa favored for some reason, 2.5, 31.5. What the fuck? Kentucky, Levis is sitting out. He ain't a first-round quarterback. I hate to break it to you. I don't know. I did like him, but he's not. He should not be sitting out. It's Iowa, Kentucky, both strong defenses, especially with Levis out. Iowa, their quarterback transferred. I don't know. Are they using the injured Michigan quarterback? So, backup quarterbacks, strong defenses, they'll play. So it's probably an under, but 31.5 so low. But it probably won't. Neither team will hit 20. Alabama, K-State. Alabama 6.5 up from 5.5. I don't understand why. 55.5. The better team here is Kansas State, and they're going to prove it. I like Kansas State in 12.5 all day long. Alabama, are they going to come to a non-playoff game? And can they do anything against Kansas State, who beat TCU, who beat Texas, who beat Oklahoma, who I think beat Baylor? This is a good fucking team, and they beat Kansas. So Kansas State's for real, and they're very strong, like trying to prove it. Like, well, we'll beat Alabama so we can get in the playoff next year because you don't think we can beat Alabama. So Kansas State's coming with purpose. Alabama really, I don't know what they're coming for because they don't really – there's no motive for Alabama here. They're not in the playoff. They can't be excited about this. You got to be careful, Bobby. This is like a really hard avocado. So when you get these hard ones, it's really hard to get the spoon in. Probably should have squeezed the other one. Profit. Vegas will usually move a line. And some quarterbacks are worth 7 points like a Tom Brady. Not this year. Texas State open -1, but now they're +3. Yeah, I know the line, Profit. Mm-hmm. So I like K-State here. I mean, they're a very strong team. Alabama doesn't know what they're in for, but this is not going to be a cakewalk for Alabama. And Alabama sucked this year anyway. They should have lost to Texas. They should have lost to A&M. They lost to Tennessee. They lost to LSU. And they got lucky. They never scheduled Georgia, or Georgia would paint them right now. So I like K-State there. Then we got the playoff, Michigan 7.5, 58.5. So notice how Michigan went from 10 to 7.5 and just sits there. And the over-under goes from 60 to 58 and sits there. So why isn't the line going down further? Why did it go from 10 to 7.5 and then stop? So the sharps bet it early at 10. No, nobody's betting it at 7.5, really. I love TCU here. The better team getting points. Georgia, 6.5, 62.5. Love the game under. Love Georgia, 6.5. as I said, Georgia doesn't play 70-point games. They did against LSU. This is going to be a massacre. Georgia all day. Yeah, they're going to kill them. Illinois 1.5, 45.5, down from 2.5 and 46.5, 45.5. This is probably just defense with Illinois. Mississippi State's coach dies. Illinois is going to run it down their throat and play defense. And I don't see a lot for Mississippi State. I think the game's an under game. The other thing on the Georgia-Ohio State, why is Ohio State in this playoff? You had Utah, you had USC, and you had Kansas State, better teams, and they didn't get in. Ohio State hasn't beaten anybody at all. They beat Notre Dame the first week. Other than that, like Penn State, Michigan State, they lose to Michigan, who hasn't beaten anybody either. Terrible Big Ten this year, and then these non-conferences were drawn. Give Ohio State credit for Notre Dame, but this is a real team they're playing. USC 1.5 down from 2.5, 62.5. So I don't know what's going on there. I see USC's Williams, quarterback, probable, pulled his hamstring in the Notre Dame game, but played, and now he's had a month to rest. I assume he's playing. Went from Tulane minus 2.5 to Tulane to now it's USC minus 1.5. LSU 14.5, 55.5. Sorry, Bobby, I can't help you here. I think Purdue's quarterback transferred, or he's out, or he's sitting out for the pros, or whatever he's doing. But LSU's quarterback, Daniels, we got to check on him if he's out or playing. Let's do a quick see in the injuries if it gives us any clue. LSU injury. Here we go. Jaden Daniels is questionable with an ankle. He's got an ankle ailment and is unknown if he's available. Purdue, Aiden O'Connell's out, will not suit up. So you have the Purdue quarterback out. You have the LSU quarterback questionable with the ankle injury that he suffered the last against Georgia, I think. So good luck with this. I don't know how good's the backup for Purdue. The coach is gone. He went back to Louisville. So I don't know. It's a shit fest. Hard to say. And Utah, good to see, still 2.5-point favorites, 52.5. Now you got the tight end Kincaid and the running back out, but the line goes to 52. Penn State, one of their cornerbacks out. So as long as Rising is playing, I like Utah. And at 2.5, I like the 3.5. So right now I like Utah. So that's the whole run of it. So Georgia's still 6.5, Michigan's still 7.5, Alabama 6.5, Clemson 5.5. Notre Dame, I don't know why they're favored. UCLA back to 5.5, which is great news. Washington's still a dog with Texas's running backs out. Oklahoma, as far as I know, the quarterback's playing. Oregon, North Carolina, the over's getting a little bit high. Kansas, Arkansas, the over stayed at 68, which I like the over there. I'll probably like Duke. I wish they were the dog. Laying 3 to UCF. UCF had trouble with their quarterbacks not wanting to play, so we will see. Tonight, free plays, New Mexico State getting 9.5. They are very explosive lately with this quarterback. Look for them to score. Bowling Green is a W team, so they don't score a lot. They have a terrible defense. I think this should be a high-scoring game, and I like New Mexico State in it. Now, let's go to the NFL standings. All right, what's going on here? Todd, Illinois' running back has entered the draft. I was at their big All-American. Oh, then it makes it even a better under. Yeah, play that game under if the star running back is for the draft. Preston, do you prefer betting with the line moves or against them? I don't care about the line moves. I have a line in my mind that I want to play. And so what I do, like here, USC went from 1.5 dog to 1.5 favorite. I like USC if the quarterback plays. And so it really doesn't matter. Like Tampa, when they went from 8 to 7.5, I liked it more because I liked Tampa. So again, my method is to look at the team. I picked the game on my own. I picked the score on my own. Then I look at the spread, how it fits. So if the spread goes from 9 to 7 and I like the favorite, I'll play it. Conversely, if Notre Dame were to go from 2.5 to 4.5, I would be all over South Carolina. The New Mexico State game was 1.5. Now Bowling Green's 3.5. I like New Mexico State even more, getting 9.5. I don't see that their quarterback, obviously he's not getting ready for the draft. He's New Mexico State's quarterback. Did he transfer? I don't see him transferring. So therefore, yes, I like New Mexico State getting even more points. If it went to 4.5, I like it. So it really depends on who I like. Then if a line goes from 9 to 7 or the over-under goes down, like tonight, I like the over in the San Diego game. The line went down a point. I like it even more. I don't let the line movement dictate, I'm going to bet it because everybody's betting it. I am blind to all that. I pick my own and I don't listen to anybody. That's why I tell you don't listen to the radio or the ESPN or anybody, because they have all these idiots picking games. BetMGM's the worst. It's on the radio. And these guys will just give prop bet after prop bet after prop bet. They don't come back and say how much they lose. They just give the prop bet. Oh, I like Joe Blow getting 20 yards or something. And, it's just so, they're trying to get you to bet props because you can't analyze props. Very hard to. So in my mind, I don't want to listen because I don't want to get, I don't want to hear something that might make me bet a game that I'm not wanting to bet. So I'm already making up my mind. I'm looking at injuries and like the weather, like the Kansas City game. I mulled over that one a lot, thinking the weather could be a problem. Maybe I should lay away from it. And then I saw the over go up. I figured, well, maybe in Kansas City it won't be so cold. It was cold there, which I'm sure affected the game. But why was it at 50 and not at 40? Why is the Buffalo-Chicago over at 40? So I'm looking at the line to make my bet normally. And then if it goes in my favor, I just jump on it. If it goes against me, like Cincinnati went down to 3, I loved it even more. Good. I get Cincy +3. They lose by 3, I kick a field goal, and off we go. So that's what I look at. But yeah, if the Illinois running back's out, then it's a great under because that's what they do. They run the ball. It's like Army Navy, and then 45.5. That's 51.5. That's a lot. Okay, let's look at the standings. Now I'm going to pull playoff standings. So you can go AFC, NFC. So I go to playoff because really that's what I care about. So in the playoff, Buffalo's 12-3. So let's do the AFC first. Kansas City's 12-3. Cincinnati's 11-4. And then somehow Jacksonville at 7-8. That's how bad Tennessee is. Although the Tennessee's also 7-8. So I guess Jacksonville, maybe they're playing the last week of the year. They are not playing. Jacksonville play. No, Dallas has Tennessee. Jacksonville's got Houston, who they lost to the first time at Jacksonville. So Buffalo and KC at 12-3. Cincinnati's beat KC. Cincinnati with the win here goes to 12-4 and will have beat Buffalo, so they get the tiebreaker. But if KC stays at 13 and stays ahead of them, KC gets the 1 seed, even though Cincy beat them. So this will be a curious game here. KC, so they have to win. That's why that line went to 13.5, probably more so than the betting. And then Buffalo KC. So to me, it's a playoff game. Buffalo Cincinnati, and I like Cincy. I just like the dog there. So right now I would bet Cincy plus 7.5. Cincy could end up being the favorite, but I don't know because everybody loves Buffalo for some reason. Cincinnati is the better team right now. They get the better quarterback, they get the better offense, and they get the better defense. So they just beat KC and they just beat New England at New England. So I look at Cincinnati here. Not a must-win game, but it's a 1-seed game. And they still haven't clinched the division. Only Buffalo and KC have clinched. They got a game lead up on Baltimore, but they don't want to be a wild card. So I look for Cincy to play well. So Jacksonville is the 4th division leader. Amazing. Then the wild cards are Baltimore at 10, so they're in. Then San Diego and Miami. Even if San Diego loses, they've got 8 wins. They clinch if they win tonight, but I wouldn't bet on them winning. You can never, all you can bet on is it'll be a close game. And Miami, who was way up ahead, is stuck at 8 wins. They're 8-7. They're the last wild card team. And then here comes New England, the Jets, Tennessee, and Pitt with 7 wins. And I would say those 4. It's going to be hard for Oakland and Cleveland with 6 wins. The best they can do is go, 8-9. You've already got the 2 teams, San Diego, Miami, at 8 wins. So it'll be hard for those 2. But the Pitt, Tennessee, Jets, and New England can get to 9 wins and jump San Diego, Miami. So you probably got till Pitt at 7 wins. So if we go through the games, so Tennessee certainly is in the mix. Indy's out of it at 4 wins. Jacksonville needs it to try to win the division. Houston's out of it. Houston with 2 wins. Cleveland now. Cleveland at 6-9, I'd say no. I mean, the best they can do is 8-9. Again, San Diego, Miami with 8. They might play like they have a chance, but they don't have a chance. Denver, KC. So Denver's out of it. KC, again, playing for the 1 seed. Makes them very dangerous. They're playing Denver, and they're laying 7.5 now in the teaser. So, yeah, so profit. If the line goes down to 12.5 and I can lay 6.5 with KC, that would make me bet it. At this point, I can't bet it at 13.5, 7.5 unless I play a 17-point teaser to 6.5. Miami needs to keep winning. They got New England and the Jets behind them, and they're playing New England. So this is basically if they lose, they go to 8-8. New England goes to 8-8. I don't know who gets the playoff berth. But again, Miami's favorite in New England. It's a playoff game. They came back against Cincy pretty good. So this is a playoff game. Pitt and Baltimore. Baltimore's in. Pitt is right on the edge with 7. They can go to 9 and 8. Baltimore's in already with 10. So Baltimore's trying to catch Cincy. But again, if they have Huntley and Pittsburgh's playing real well, I like Pitt as the dog in this game. Again, it should be low scoring, but I like the dog. Baltimore just doesn't show anything. They're such badly coached. Frisco and Oakland. Oakland can get to 8-9, but I really not in. Frisco, we'll get to the NFC in a minute. The Jets need it at 7-8. Maybe White is ready to play. Broke the rib. The other two quarterbacks look like shit. I don't get what they're doing to Wilson. He's much better than what they're showing. They're not running his offense that he can run, that he ran at BYU, which is what I would go hire the BYU offensive coordinator. Zach Wilson was like 40 touchdowns and 4 interceptions. So what the fuck are you doing? This is bad coaching because the player can play if you get him in his system. San Diego needs the game tonight, gets them to 9. They get to 9, I think they clinch, but will they need the game next week against the Rams if they clinch? Kansas City's out of sight. They can't catch them, so they're probably stuck in the playoff. So maybe they don't need it, but we'll see. And then Buffalo, Cincinnati, they're playing for the 1 seed. Even though if KC wins out, they're the 1 seed. So this will be curious. This is a big game here. Again, I like the dog in these type of games. All right, let's go to the NFC. Now, it got interesting with Philadelphia losing. So the 1 seed's Philly at 13-2, followed by Minnie at 12-3. Frisco is now 11-4, and Dallas is also 11-4. So Dallas wins both the remaining games. The question is, do they catch Philly to win the division if Philly loses the 2? And the beauty is, here's Minnie at 12-3, so Philly has to keep playing, which is perfect. We don't want Philly to lay down because they don't need the game. Minnie wins, Philly loses. Minnie can go to 14. Philly goes at 13, stays there. Minnie can be the 1 seed. Can Frisco be the 1 seed? If they go to 13-4, I don't know if they played Philly and beat them or not. I'm not sure, but Frisco is playing. So from that standpoint, look at them to go. Dallas has to win for the division. Now, that's probably why the line moved, but you would have thought they would have done it before they posted. So I don't know if they're posting a line to post the line, and then they aren't they looking at all this before they post the line? So hard to say, but that's probably why Dallas moved from 6.5 to 10 is, well, I don't know. I guess maybe they can catch Philly because Philly hasn't clinched their division yet. If you clinch the division, you get a Y. They're still an X. So I think if Dallas wins there too, even though Philly beat them the first time and now Dallas won the second, that I guess Dallas would catch the thing. If they go 13-4, Philly 13-4, I guess Dallas would win because otherwise Philly would have wrapped it up. So Dallas has plenty incentive, but they're so badly coached. And they got Prescott, so I don't know. So Tampa 7-8, winning their division. Then you got Carolina and New Orleans, a game out at 6-9, strictly for the division. Atlanta at 5-10 can go to 7-10. Tampa at 7-8. So I don't know if Atlanta still is in this hunt, but they're only in the hunt to win their division, not for a wild card. So then we got Dallas 11-4. They're obviously in. And then we got the Giants and Washington at 8-6 and 7-7 because of the tie. And then you got the Chasers, Seattle 7-8, Detroit 7-8, Green Bay 7-8. Carolina at 6-9 is theoretically can still get a playoff if they don't win the division. And I guess New Orleans would also go to 8-9, and Washington's at 7-7 going south. Now the Rams are actually 5-10. They can only get to 7. I don't think because Washington would be 7-9-1 at worst case, and the Rams are 7-10. So Washington would be out, or the Rams would be out. The Giants already have 8 wins, so the Rams are out. Atlanta can win their division, and then Arizona and the Bears. So everybody loves Fields, and everybody loves DeMarco. What now? DeMarco Murray, Arizona's quarterback. Everybody loves the running quarterbacks, and yet look, they've won 3 games in 4 games. So Fields, the great runner, doesn't win any games, or does Arizona's Kyler Murray doesn't win any games. Mariota doesn't win any games. This is why I bitch about it. And if you look at the teams up top, you got good quarterbacks, Hurts or Minshew, Cousins, who I don't love. Frisco's up there with their defense. Brady, Rodgers trying to get in. Prescott, who sucks. The Giants without a quarterback. Washington without a quarterback. What do we got here? Bobby, do you already go over USC game? Can't believe the line is that low. Well, I'm waiting to make sure the injury, but yes. Well, now keep in mind, Tulane's not an over team, and the line's 61, I think, right? I just like USC plus the 4.5. If he's playing, they'll beat Tulane. Tulane's a very good team, but they have a good defense, which really not going to stop USC. They played Utah. They played UCLA. So I'm not worried about the defense. Utah's got a better defense. And again, it's tricky because if you look at the stats, they're an under, Tulane's an under, but when you look at who they played, it's always key if they played a USC, UCLA, Utah type of team, an explosive team. Tulane might have played Houston, SMU to really see what's going on. But USC, I just like USC plus the 4.5 as long as he's playing. You're starting to give up on Kyler. Oh, just now? Like, where have you been the last few years? Maybe Kyler should have accepted that baseball. Well, maybe he'll go play, baseball now. It's a good center fielder. Again, you got to realize Oklahoma was a let's call it like a scam. It's not a really good. It's the receivers running deep and the quarterback needing a fast quarterback to run. That's why Rattler didn't do any good, because the offense doesn't really work without a running quarterback, because really all they're doing is running everybody deep and the quarterback runs, and that's what Williams does now for SC, although he does throw it pretty well, but that's all he's doing. He's not doing anything else. Again, that's the system, just like Alabama and Ohio State. That's why Ohio State's quarterback Fields can't complete a pass. Now, I saw him complete a lot of passes at Ohio State. What the fuck's going on? Why can't he complete? Why does he look so bad on the Bears when he looks so good at Ohio State? Because it's the system. First of all, Ohio State had better receivers and running backs than the Bears. And they just run a system. How many people are in the box? Oh, I'm going to run. I'm going to pass. Good protection. And they're playing Illinois, Indiana, and Purdue, not the Bears, the Vikings, the Lions, Green Bay, which makes, that's also, like Urban Meyer say, oh, it's like I'm playing Alabama every week. Well, it's the pros. What did you think, Urban? So let's look at the NFC's game. Dallas must win. Apparently, they're still in the hunt to catch Philly. Atlanta, I think they're really on the edge. Tampa with 7 wins, Atlanta with 5. I guess they can catch them if Carolina and New Orleans lose. But I think, I think Atlanta's out because Carolina plays Tampa. Well, Carolina or Tampa's going to win. If Tampa wins, Atlanta's out. If Carolina wins, then they go to 7. Tampa's at 7, and Atlanta can get to 7 and 10. So it's a real tricky if Atlanta's still alive, which I'm not sure. The Giants, they need it. The Bears are out. Detroit needs it. Washington needs it. New Orleans, Philly. New Orleans definitely a game back at Tampa needs it. Philly apparently hasn't clinched, so they need it, and for the 1 seed. Carolina, Tampa, they both need it. Tampa's trying to win the division. Carolina's trying to win the division and looking much, much better. Tampa, on the one hand, can still be wild card, but their back's not really against the wall because they're winning the division. The team whose back's against the wall, let's say, is New Orleans and Carolina. They have to win. Green Bay, Detroit has to win. The Niners, can they catch? They've clinched the division, so the question is, can they? Apparently, they can catch Philly for the 1 seed. So if they go 13-4, well, I don't know because Philly hasn't clinched because of Minnesota. I don't know, but Frisco seems to be on a roll and playing well, so I would not think Frisco doesn't want to play. Seattle, absolutely must win. Minnesota, Green Bay, absolutely. Minnesota's going for the 1. Green Bay's going for the wild card, and it's interesting that you like Green Bay in this game because it's at home, and they really need to win it versus Minnesota. So very interesting call here. Both teams really need it. Green Bay probably more with the back against the wall because they're not in the playoffs. Minnesota's in the playoffs, clinched the division, and now are kind of stumbling, going, hey, we can get the number 1 seed. And Green Bay is like, well, we need it to get in. And they just beat Miami. So interesting game. And that's it. So that's your back against the wall games. And that's who needs the playoffs. So this is where college should be at. College should be much more playoff games instead of these stupid bowl games. And then the guys are sitting out. Eating some hot pig ears while enjoying the class. I've never even heard of pig ears being. Who would think of eating ears? Why are you eating? Does it taste good? I mean, does it help your hearing? Can you hear better if you eat pig ears? I just have never heard of, like, what do you fry them or barbecue them? Or just seems like an odd thing. But I guess you eat liver and you eat certain, I'm eating a steak, so I'm eating meat of a cow. I don't know, or a pig. Atlanta's officially out. Okay, that's good to know. So we will put a note out. And it's down to Tampa, Carolina, and New Orleans. Okay. It's great, Professor, and some hot broth with some hot sauce. So you need the heat to not taste it. Okay. Do you like liver too, Professor? Well, when I was a kid, my mom used to feed us liver because it was good for us. But I don't know how healthy it is for us. I'm not sure eating organs is good for us, so I tend not to eat it. I just eat regular steak and chicken and stuff like that. So I'm not sure. But I have eaten it before, but I would prefer steak. I'm not sure what the value is of eating liver, so I'll just stick to my avocado. But I kind of can't get the spoon in, so I'm just eating an apple. Well, it seems warmer today, although I haven't been out yet. But my heat isn't running every 5 seconds. I've been in the mood for a medium rare. I thought you already had a T-bone last week. Well, bon appetit. So my girl in the Ukraine says it was raining and warmer yesterday. Now, 99 times out of 100, we get their weather 2 days later. So I'm expecting it to warm up and rain. Anyway, it's been been good going to the hot tub at the club, and just walking in the pool has been very helpful for my foot. Although I feel it swelling again today, probably from all the crap I ate, pop and some ice cream. So I think it does. I think it doesn't like the pop right now. I got to stay away from that. But it was Christmas, so what the fuck. All right, so when we go through it, Dallas, Tennessee is a playoff game. Arizona, Atlanta apparently is not. Indy and the Giants need. Chicago, Detroit needs it. Jacksonville, Houston needs it. Cleveland, Washington needs it. New Orleans, Philly, both teams need it. Denver, KC needs it. Miami, New England, both teams need it. Pitt, Baltimore, both teams need it. Carolina, Tampa, both teams need it. Frisco, Oakland, I'm not sure either team needs it. I think Frisco is playing like they want it, and I think they'll just keep playing. The Jets and Seattle, both teams need it. Mini Green Bay, both teams need it, but I think Green Bay needs it far worse than Mini. It's one thing when you're already in, like Minnesota. It's another thing when you're Green Bay needing to get in, and you got Aaron Rodgers. LA, San Diego, if they win tonight, is in. So they can't catch KC. So it's just, I don't even know if they need it, if they sit players or what they do. Buffalo, Cincy, both teams have clinched the division. Well, Cincy needs it more to clinch the division. Buffalo's clinched. They're both trying to get the 1 seed, so there's a lot of incentive there. So those are the playoff games for next week. And we touch base on the bowl games. So do I have really strong plays that I like? I mean, I'm this Carolina game's just screaming at me. Green Bay mini over, San Diego, LA, although, Buffalo, Cincy, I like. I think the Detroit, Chicago over, I like. That should be a really high scoring game because, as we see, Detroit has no defense. How was the Chinese? Well, it was very good. I had Szechuan chicken and I had General Chow on Saturday. So I went Saturday. They were closed yesterday. I remember as a kid, we'd always go Chinese on Christmas. And it was like the only restaurant that was open, although this was a carryout. There used to be a restaurant. The guy had a heart attack, so they're just a carryout now. And she said they were closed on Sunday. So I went Saturday, and I got the General Chow for Saturday, and I think it's Szechuan chicken for Sunday. And they're both tasty. I have a little bit left, which I'm going to eat for lunch right now. But very good. I just didn't feel like cooked like all the time now anyway, so I just felt like not cooking. Plus it was Christmas, so it's like, we'll have Chinese. What's the name of the chicken you said before, General Chow? I want to say it's Szechuan chicken. SCUH something. It's a lot of veggies and chicken all mixed in, real good. A lot of broccoli, a lot of other type of veggies, very tasty. But again, that's the way they make it. I can't say what it's going to taste like in Tampa, but very tasty. Oh God, I don't. Szechuan, SCHEZAN, something like that. It's the top one on the menu. And General Chow I get every time I go, so she's well aware of. I just go, give me my usual. She says, "You want your usual?" I go, "Yeah." And then it's how many egg rolls do I want? Anyway, so that is football. So we'll get more into it. I got to update my stats and that. So really, I had a good day. I just fucked up on two games: the Seattle over and the Washington over because of all the turnovers. But otherwise, I hit everything else. I keep missing one game for our 10-team ticket. I think I had the over and I had the I had the under in San Francisco, Washington. Otherwise, I won the rest of the ticket. I do this with me and Todd do it, and it's like every week. It's like 9-1. It's unbelievable. There's always that one loser that I can't seem to get away from. I was, like I said, I was shocked that this total was 50. Not in normal weather, but with the cold weather, I was. Okay, Bobby B, I cooked a 5-pound prime rib for Christmas. Very good with broccoli. There you go, Todd. Okay, we're going to Todd's for dinner tonight. I like doing that too, Todd, that prime rib or the roast. I'll make roast. Instead of getting, I'll get 3 pound of ham. I'm like, I don't want to cook every day, so I get 3 pound of hamburger. I make 8 or 9 hamburgers, and that's dinner and lunch for the next 3 days. And I put it in my omelets. So sometimes instead of that, I'll buy a roast, which is about 3 pounds, and it's instead of the hamburger, it's the roast, and I cook that. And then I have that for the next 3 days. It's a little different in the omelet than the hamburger, but very good. Yeah, it does. It does sound good, Ted. Love egg rolls and with some duck sauce. Yeah, egg rolls are good. Kung Pao chicken. No, I never had that. I think it's spicy, but the problem is when I go there, and I've been going there since before I was married. I found this job right across the street from this Chinese restaurant. And one guy goes, "Hey, you want to go to Chinese? I found this good restaurant." I said, "Sure, I like Chinese." And I started going, and I'd get the General Chow. And every time I go, I get the General Chow. It was so good. And I get the dinner. I don't get the fried rice because it's not good for you, or the egg roll. So I want more chicken. So I would just get the dinner, which gives you like 20 pieces of chicken and broccoli and in the nice sauce. And it was just very tasty. So it's like, if I'm going to go, I get the General Chow because I want the chicken mostly. I'm going for the chicken pretty much. And, that's like, I just had hamburger last week with my foot problems. So I couldn't really go out. So that's why I needed a change of pace to get the chicken. So that's why I went Chinese. Either that or I'll go to my barbecue place and get like the chicken rib combination where I'll get a half chicken barbecue and then 6 ribs. And it's a nice go with, but it's getting expensive. He's up. It used to be 15. It's now 21. Even the Chinese lady went from like 11 to 13 for the General Chow. Now, let's talk free market here, as long as I'm on the subject. So what is the market? The market are the prices, right? So the prices are how the market talks. So you charge so much. Well, it's like football, right? You move the line. They try to call it the market, but it isn't because Vegas is so fucked up with their numbers. But it's ideally just you put something down, people pay, you adjust it to get to equilibrium or the best price. So what you do is something is, you mark something at $20 and people buy it or they don't. like like steak. So the T-bone Bobby goes to, it's $11 at the grocery store. He buys it. They make it $25. He doesn't buy it. Oops, we priced it too high. We got to lower the price because nobody's buying it. Our job as a business is to roll our inventory. That's what you're trying to do, is move your inventory. If the price is too high, nobody buys it. I can't move my inventory. That's what the market is. The market's me and you dictating what you can charge me. If you charge me too much, I won't buy it. And that comes into the substitute goods. I'll buy another steak or hamburger or chicken instead. Like right now, salmon's really expensive at my grocery store. So I don't buy it. I buy chicken instead. Doesn't matter to me. And actually, you got to be careful with the farm raised salmon because they're all swimming together and it's really unhealthy and it's not really good for you. You really want wild salmon, but good luck finding it. But mostly what you have is the farm raised. But if they make it too expensive, you just don't buy it. They can't move their inventory. That makes them lower their price. And that's what we're running into. So that's why I tell the rib guy to be careful. You start making the ribs $40 for a slab, you're fucked because nobody's going to buy it. They'll eat your chicken, but nobody's going to pay you $40 for the ribs. Please be careful because the market is not going to say that. There you go, Bobby. Yeah, Szechuan chicken. It's good. So what you have, so what the market says is if you mark the price X, you can sell so many of them, but you get all this inventory and you get price breaks. So if I'm a butcher, the more meat I buy, the less I pay for it. So I'm buying a lot of meat to sell, but if I sell it too high and I can't move it, I'm fucked because I spent all this money and I can't get my money back. And that's where you have to be careful. So the Chinese lady raised the General Chow to 13 something. Now, not that big of a deal now, but because I get it once a week, I usually go on Saturday and I get it. It's okay. So I pay an extra buck or two for it. It's okay because it's special, because it's not breaded. It's not fried. It's wok. There's no MSG. So it's very hard to find like that. So I'm willing to pay that extra buck or two for it. But if she gets too high, I won't. I'll go to the barbecue place, or I'll just make my hamburgers and my chicken on my own and not go there. And that's really what's happening. And that's really what the market is. That's why when these people say you won't be able to find food, it'll be too expensive. And I go, no, it won't be too expensive. You just won't buy it. And they have to lower their price because they can't charge $10 for Oreos. As I say, nobody will buy them. You'll buy either different cookies or you won't buy cookies. You'll buy donuts or cake or something. So that's really what happens with everything is the market dictates what you can do. So you can't just raise your prices. You can raise your price to whatever. But if nobody buys it, then you're stuck with inventory. And you have inventory that you can't sell, then you've laid out the money. How you got to get your money back. So that's really the problem with it, is getting the money back for your inventory. So that's why it's very difficult that people say, oh, prices will go up and that. No, and that's why stocks are going to go down, is because the same thing, that they won't be able to pass the prices on, and therefore the stock, the company won't make the profits because their costs go up. Doesn't mean they can just charge the consumer. That's why they start laying people off, and that's why you get all this other stuff. That's why I'd my Camry is now $30,000. Good luck, boys. You're never going to sell them. I don't know who's going to pay you $30,000 for it. So Toyota will eventually put a sale out. Because they can't sell it, even though it might cost them $27,000 to make the car. You can't sell it because you can't sell it for $30,000. Therefore, if you can't sell it for $30,000, what do? You start laying people off. You have to cut costs because you can't sell it. And that's what the market does. We determine what you can sell at what price. By the way, I found some nice looking Australian silver eagles. Did you buy them? Because the difference is you're going to be paying shipping. Todd, Denver Coast was just fired today. What took them so long? See, why did they hire him in the first place? And then you make the mistake of you see he's terrible, but you don't fire him, and you're worried about who can I hire. Don't worry about that. There's plenty of coaches. Most of them probably are in college, but that's what you have. I'm very tempted to place an order. Laugh out loud. Well, yeah, I don't know. I mean, tomorrow is supposed to be D-Day, the 27th, but I don't know. I just think the derivatives run out and they have to settle everything. This is the end of the year where they're settling. So let's see what happens tomorrow. That'll be very interesting. But anyway, you keep in mind we're the market. So prices won't just go up if we don't pay for them. See, if we got smart and said, no, I'm not paying $20 for steaks, they can't raise the price to 20. I see some other steaks like grass fed or there's certain type of steaks. I can't think of it off the top of my head that one butcher has, and he's selling them like for $35 a steak. And I just roll my eyes and I never order it. It's like, oh, yeah, okay. Yeah, I guess I don't need grass fed, who knows what the hormones they put in the meat now. But it's the whole thing's not good. So you think that will cause stocks to dump tomorrow? No, that's gold and silver derivatives. So I think something will happen with the gold and silver derivatives because they have to settle, which they don't have the gold and silver to settle. So it'll be interesting to what happens with the price, but not stocks. Just the derivative stocks, the gold, silver. And anyway, that doesn't mean when it's called grass fed. Well, they feed the cows grass instead of hormones. So the cow goes in the field and he's eating the grass. It's grass fed versus if they feed them with hormones and other food they feed them with. So I don't think all the cows eat grass. Some eat other things. But that's basically, it's like farm raised salmon. They're in a farm and they're locked in together and it's terrible, all the bacteria and everything. But if they're just wild, they're just out swimming and the bear catches them. And it's not, what's ironic is the bear doesn't eat the meat. He eats the skin for the fat. He doesn't eat the meat, which like, bears, what the fuck are you doing? That's the best part is the meat of the salmon. If you're going to catch them, eat the meat. So you'd think they'd mistakenly eat the meat once in a while, but that's what it is. But anyway, so the market controls prices, and it is prices. And that's what I keep trying to preach is the gold and silver price is not at market. That's the problem. They've created this false market and then are lying to the public saying, oh, yeah, gold's 1,800. And it's not. It's nowhere close to it. And yet that's what they'll say. And they're all wrong with it. So keep that in mind. So what you want is the market and keep everything where it needs to be. But just because they raise the price doesn't mean the price is going to stick there. It doesn't really matter. So that's, things that say inflation lowers the value of the money. So you need more money to buy things. But if there's substitute goods, like instead of grass-fed steak, you buy regular steak, then you're going to be fine. And that's really what you have to understand. You buy the substitute that's cheaper. And that's this whole inflation, how they measure it. They don't measure it right. That's why I always laugh. Oh, it's at 8% and it's 20. They don't include food and rent and stuff like that. How do you not include that? And then they don't even include, like they'll just say meat, but they don't like these grass-fed, that's $30 is an increase. So it's high inflation, but they don't include it. Well, we'll include this meat instead of that meat. So just keep an eye on that. Anyway, so quickly recapping, I like the over tonight, San Diego Indy. Free play is New Mexico State today, getting 9.5. Strong play. I'll study now, so we know who needs what for next week. And I got 4 college locks out there already. And I think I'm going to have another one because I just saw a line that moved the way I was hoping it would move. So that helps. Anyway, so I think that's about it. I had a good week except for the Frisco and the Frisco under and the KC over. I hit everything else. Next week I got a lot of strong plays already, and then I just got to check my injuries. But it's very hard to bet the pros on Monday. I tend to bet the college overs on Monday, but not the pros. It's too, you've got to check injuries. But you don't have to worry about players sitting out, going in the transfer portal in pros like they do in college. Anyway, I think that's it. Any other questions, comments? A tough avocado I have to eat like that. Anyway, so I'll probably be on tomorrow with, the bowls are the bowls. So, it's not like it's new every week. So I've already talked about them. So I can run through them again tomorrow. They really pick up a little bit later once we get into like near New Year's Eve, New Year's Day, the Georgia, the few days before that's when it really starts heating up. So that's what we have. Again, happy holidays, happy New Year. That's Sunday. God, I miss old New Year's. You used to have the Rose Bowl and the Sugar Bowl on and the Orange Bowl. Now it's so shitty. There's two things that they've done wrong. One, they fucked up the New Year's Day bowls, and two, they fucked up Las Vegas. The corporates come in and they want to see. The biggest pet peeve I have about Vegas is they fucked everything up. Here we're not going to charge you much for food or hotel, so it's a nice, cheap thing. We're going to make money on you gambling. So we'll have $5 blackjack and you lose, a couple hundred here and there, and you've lost $1,000 for your trip, but you've lost it at blackjack. And all you get out of it is you think, well, the food was cheap and the room was cheap. Now you have this stupid resort fee. So even if you get $100 room at Caesars, then they add $50 to the resort fee. It's $150 room. What the fuck is that? I heard it's like commission because of Priceline and all these others get the commission 100. If they made them 150, they get more commission. So they just give them the 100, and then they save on the commission, and then they hit us for the other 50. But now they've made parking and they charge, and the food's expensive and the hotels are expensive. I always would go Christmas week. I'd go to Vegas when I didn't go to Europe and always travel, but now it's just ridiculous. It's not even worth going. It's really sad. I love Vegas, but I normally now go. I don't even hit the table games anymore. I used to play craps and backrack and blackjack, and now I just go and play poker and bet the football. But it's ridiculous. Even Caesars now, you want to watch the football, they have like 30 seats and they're like 150 for the seat. What are you guys doing? You're chasing everybody out. There's nothing to eat. After 7, 8 o'clock, they close the restaurants. You got to go walk across the street to CVS or something to go get a sandwich and a fruit because you don't have any restaurants open. Who the fuck's running these places? A bunch of morons. So instead of keeping me in, you're chasing me out. What kind of and you make the blackjack tables $50 for blackjack hands. I'm not playing blackjack at 50 a hand. What are you doing? So they're missing the whole point. It's sort of like people that don't understand economics. These idiots, they're probably the same idiots who think, well, we'll just keep printing money, and the more we print, that'll cover everything, instead of, you can't just keep printing money. And I think that's the problem here. So it's just, these guys are just clueless, and they're really killing, so you don't even want to go. It should be, we're going to take the money, we're going to beat you playing blackjack and craps, and we'll keep it $5 tables, and we'll keep the food in the hotel down. But the hotel's so expensive. I really don't know, who goes. You'll see a family of four there, and you go, how do you afford it? I mean, you can't, the room and then the food. Then if you even gamble, which I assume you're going to Vegas to gamble, it's really a shame what they're doing, and there's just morons doing it. And MGM's the worst, because they have the bad odds. Like, oh, we'll make the football odds 13-10 instead of 11-10 on teasers. Oh, dude, I got to pick two, or I lose. The odds should be even money, not 13-10. It ain't that easy to go and pick the games at that you should make them 13-10. But it's a very, they're killing the odds. They're just making it not productive, which is why you only really could go play poker there, because they really haven't fucked that up yet. A little bit with the rake, but generally you can play poker, and then you can bet some sports, but that's about all you can do there. You can't. I mean, you can play craps, but the odds are worse, and it's it's $25 minimum bet, and like I said, the blackjack's like $50 minimum. Like, good luck finding $5 or $10 blackjack unless you go downtown. So I don't really understand it. I guess they think, well, we just want the high rollers. But guess what? The high rollers aren't going to give you. They're millionaires. They're not going to give you $1 million. Are you kidding me? So I don't really understand their whole thought process. Anyway, so that's what's going on. Again, I don't have picks for next week yet in football. Just looking at it, it's Monday. What else? Economics. So the reset's really just gold and silver resetting to what the market price should be instead of the COMEX price. I thought this reset was this whole change of everything, but it's really not. It's just gold and silver resetting. And then these new currencies coming out. I don't know that you call it a reset, like the US dollar. I assume there'll be a new US dollar once they bury this, which they're doing on purpose, which we have to understand why they're killing the dollar on purpose. But watch the BRICS countries, watch what happens in these other countries with their dollars. What else? So there's a chance silver and gold go down this week and we can buy cheaper. Well, there's always that chance. I don't know. I think after tomorrow it'll go up because they got to settle their derivatives, but maybe. Again, you're dealing with COMEX. If you're at market, there's no way it would go down. It would just keep going up. There's too much demand, and people, what gets me is all the banks are buying it, and it still doesn't raise the price. So you can see it's not a supply demand issue. It's a fake market issue. And really there's nothing you can do there. You just notice that's what's happening. But I think you're at a good price right now. But keep in mind, watch what happens to the euro and the Swiss francs and the yen and the Indian rupee. Keep an eye on what happens with them, because that's what's coming here. But the U.S., again, is a little different animal than these other smaller countries as far as the dollar. So they're ruining the dollar, and then it's what are they? But they're not going to come out with digital. It'll be a new dollar. Is it legal? Well, it shouldn't be legal, but there's nobody. The people who are in charge are the ones letting it happen. So from that standpoint, it's J.P. Morgan. They run the Federal Reserve. So no, it's totally illegal, but they don't penalize the people because it's all fixed. It's like if you work for the mafia and you kill somebody, is it legal? No. Are you going to prison? No, because they fixed the judges. So that's the problem with the U.S. now. It's a little bit too fixed legally. How long can they possibly keep it down at a false price? Well, that's been the whole thing, Bobby. It's been since the early 70s. And that's why people are leery to buy it. Because they keep saying, well, it doesn't go, it doesn't go. It doesn't go up. And they asked me, well, why is it going to go up now? We've been waiting for 30 years for it to go up. And the reason simply the BRICS countries, the Russia, China, wanting it to go up, and they own a lot of gold. So now it's like, okay, we want our gold to go up, and they'll come out with a competitive market that will force it up. And that's the difference is the BRICS countries. So because Russia and China have so much of it, they're going to force it up. Where in the past, nobody really had it, and it's priced in U.S. dollars is the problem. And from COMEX and England really make the price, and people all over the world, like, why are the Russians looking at COMEX price? Why aren't they, that's the problem. It's not supply and demand. Once it turns supply and demand, then it'll be better. And that's what this reset will be, is gold and silver go to their real price. And that's what I keep telling you, is that's where it's headed, to its real price, because of BRICS. That's the kicker, BRICS making it go up. So we will see what happens with that. But that's really what's happening. It's all manipulated by J.P. Morgan, and they own the Fed, and they keeping it down. But what's happened is the Russians and Chinese and Indians are all buying it at this cheap price. And so they're kind of being blind, so the U.S. is kind of blindsided. Wait a minute, all these countries, and they own a lot, but they're not saying they do. And they're going to come out and say, China's going to say, well, we got 40,000 tons of it. Russia's going to say we got 20,000 tons of it. And next thing you know, J.P. Morgan's, they've already threatened a war, like in 2014. They said, if you tell what that you have, we'll go to war over it. Because again, J.P. Morgan wants the U.S. dollar, and they want to print their monopoly. And that's really the problem with it. So hopefully this time is what I'm saying. It should finally go to market. It's the only really thing in the marketplace that isn't at real market prices. Like you go buy your steak or your chicken, most of your food is at market. It's what the market bids it for. If the butcher puts steak at $20 and the market says no, he lowers it to $15. And if everybody buys it, then his price is $15. But in gold, everybody uses this COMEX instead of who's the butcher selling the gold and silver. It's mostly these coin stores who, again, they don't know what to sell it for. They know it's worth more, but they can't. Like the guy says, if I sell it for $20,000, nobody will buy it because they can buy it at these other places. So they can substitute me for this other coin store and buy it cheaper. So the coin stores got to get together and raise the price, but they're too stupid. So that's what you end up having. Anyway, I think that's about it. I should be back tomorrow. My foot's starting to bother me, probably too much shit that I ate yesterday. I do have one pill left, and I'll get my ice pack out, but I can feel it. I felt it last night going. I was able to walk this morning, but I can feel it puffy now, so I need some ice. All right, everybody. Have a great day. Good luck tonight, New Mexico State. I took San Diego over. Not big, just a small one. And that's when I'll start studying for next week. All right. Have a great day. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. Enjoy. Bon appetit. And look forward to tomorrow. Thank you, Prophet. You take care. You're welcome, Bobby. Yeah, Bobby, I mean, but that's been the whole thing. It's not legal. And how long can they possibly do it? Well, eventually, it's like the U.S. printing dollars. How long can they keep printing? All right, Merry Christmas, everybody. And let's have a nice, relaxing holiday week. All right, take care, everybody. Thank you very much. Have a nice day.